nothing wrong with traveling for comedy. It's one of the greatest things about it is that you can, if if you're inclined, then why not?
Yeah. And this is a great way to be inclined. Beats having your feet up on an ottoman incline. This is a better incline.
Yeah, I agree.
I love the Vegas comedy scene, but
Good.
Portland is where I met Tamer Kattan. Everybody, this is live on Tamer Kattan's page. So hi to all his fans.
Hey,
Yeah, hi Tamer.
hey, Linda, how are you? It's good to see you.
It's great to see you. I went digging and spying on you,
How
and
you did? Do you
yes,
work for the Department of Defense now?
DOD. It's better than DOA, they say, right? That's dead on arrival. Yeah, I think it's better. But the thing is that I met you in 2019, and
Yeah.
when I met you, when you walk in a room, you light up the whole entire room
Aw,
into the corners. There's
aw,
such
that's so nice. Thanks, Linda.
you're so real. You're so in every moment. You're so like, if I could make myself into a male person, it would be you. Like,
Well,
you really
that's a
care
high
about
compliment.
humans.
Well, thank you. That's really nice. That's really nice of you to say. I think I do. I think it's because of my mom. My mom taught me to give a shit.
That's so cool. Tell me
Yeah.
about your mom that made her want to give a shit.
She's just, it's a big story, but she's just my hero. She's always been my hero, and I'm really glad that she's been my hero since I was a kid. I feel fortunate that my compass was a good compass. So I think we're seeing a lot of people in the news nowadays that maybe didn't have such great compasses. Maybe their mentors weren't such great people and didn't give such great advice. So yeah, she's just always been a real person. She's always been really wise and always cared about other people's feelings. And she just believes in being a good person because it feels right. It feels like the right thing to do. And believes in God, but doesn't necessarily believe in going to a church or a mosque or a temple. Like she just thinks that she speaks to God every day. So I like that. I think she's a really confident person, a really wise person, and a really inspiring person. So I won the lottery on moms.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
My parents went through the Holocaust, and
Oh wow.
it took, that's how come I started telling jokes, because they could never be enjoying a moment, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm so like all about being in a moment. And like, when I'm not saying that my parents didn't have a moral compass, but when you have to survive, you have certain things that you have to do to survive.
Sure.
And that those things can take a toll on your life. And so
Absolutely.
your mom probably had a lot of joy to give you because she had a moral compass that maybe didn't have to be compromised to survive. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean that's the thing that's so impressive about her. She had a really heavy childhood. She went through a lot of crazy things and with a lot of crazy people, and I'm just so impressed that on the other side of it is like one of the sweetest, kindest people. So it's like it made me think like I think human beings are like cactuses. Now that
How
you're in
so?
Vegas, you can relate to cactuses. I
Yeah.
think the more harshly you treat a cactus, the stronger it grows. And I think sometimes the cactuses that are overwatered or seem like they have the most cactus money, which is probably water. If you get too much cactus money, you get soft and you croak and you become distorted. And I think that's what happens with people that have too much too soon or don't appreciate what they have or don't work for what they have. So I think I'm really glad I came from somebody who worked really hard to get what she got.
You weren't raised by a single mom, were you?
No, it's funny. I joke around about that a lot. Like I always say I was raised by a single mom, and they're like, "Where was your dad?" I'm like, "He was in the TV in the room with the TV set. He was there, but he wasn't there." And I didn't have the greatest relationship with my dad, but it's now that I'm older, I understand that he needed therapy, and he didn't go to it. It's not something that normal people did in Egypt, and so I was lucky that I had such a great relationship with my mom, but not so much with my dad.
I get it. I totally get it. I had a stronger relationship with my father, so those things do happen.
Sure,
It's not like we pick our favorite, you know, like they do. Just
Yeah, no,
kidding.
I pick.
Yeah. It's not like we asked for it. We just got it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're born in Egypt, raised in Egypt, and then came to New York and LA with your comedy. Is that the deal?
No, I was raised in America. Look at this accent, Linda. What are you talking about?
I
You
know. This
got
is
this.
not the time to be racist, Linda.
No, not at all. It's not racist. No, but I've been here. I mean, I have a California accent, if anything. I probably sound like I just got off a surfboard. But
People be laughing at this pretty soon. I just stepped in it. I
no,
made
you
an
didn't at
assumption.
all. No, no, no. Don't be silly. No, no. I just mean I'm so Americanized that even Arabs don't. Like if Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was an Arab, it'd be me. You know, they recognize me as a reindeer, but they go, "This one's weird." Maybe it's the tattoos, maybe it's the, where I was raised or how I was raised, but I was raised in a pretty Western way. And yeah, but we came
What?
to America really early. I was only 8 years old when we got here
So you were born where?
in Cairo.
You
Then
were.
we,
I win. I
yeah,
win
no,
the.
you were right about that. Yeah, I just wasn't raised there. Yeah, I was born in Cairo and then went to Greece and then moved to America.
Greece. What was that like? I know you were.
Amazing. My grandmother is 100% Greek on my dad's side. She's red hair and green eyes, and she's the most amazing woman. She was my mom's hero. So she's my grand
Wow.
hero, you know? And
Wow.
like, I just have these amazing memories of sitting on the beach in Greece where they'd set up movie screens on the beach, and you'd watch like Laurel and Hardy films or the Three Stooges, and then they'd have intermission. And instead of marshmallows, we'd roast squid over a fire, and then the ocean was so clean you could walk into the ocean and dip the octopus into the water and it would be perfectly salted and then you eat it.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to do it here, you'll get hepatitis. But in
So
Greece it was really clean, at the time you could do stuff like that. So I even at a really early age in Greece, my first and most powerful memory was watching comedies on the beach, you know.
wow. Who was your favorite comic as a little boy?
It's going to sound funny. I'm going to say my favorite funny person, if I can. It was Muhammad Ali, and it was because I knew what he was doing. I knew that he was more than an athlete. I knew the way that he was using comedy. I was a really young kid, but I could tell what he was doing was complex, and he wasn't serious about what he was saying, and he wasn't saying that I'm the greatest. He was saying, "Hey, all you brown kids out there who've never seen anybody like me, you can be the greatest too." That's what he's saying. Because there weren't any, TV shows where there was a black hero back then or a brown person that was a hero or a champ. And so what he was doing was really powerful. And it wasn't as selfish as it looked. A lot of people are like, oh, he was such a braggart. It's like, no, he wasn't a braggart. You think he's a braggart because you weren't a brown kid looking for another brown face on TV. So he made me laugh so hard. And then my first official comic was Richard Pryor that made me laugh really hard. And then when I got into college, George Carlin.
Oh,
And,
you nailed some of the greatest
yeah.
there, boy. What did you like about what's the top couple things with each of those comics? Now that you told me about Muhammad Ali really had a persona. I don't think he ever broke his persona, did he?
No, I mean, he was himself. That's what I loved about him. He was free. And he was free with an exclamation mark. And I love boxing. I grew up. My dad was a boxer. I grew up boxing. I still box now. I'm wearing a little golden glove right here. So
What?
it's a big part of my life. Is almost as big as comedy. I love it. And watching a boxer who is so amazing and poetic with his words and the way he intimidated his opponents it was amazing. So that was Ollie. Ollie was almost the art of words and the art of language. Like the pictures he painted, people still remember fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mean, what a metaphor. Fly like a butterfly. Yeah, in boxing, it's all about not getting hit. So you want to fly like a butterfly. What better example is there than the way a butterfly moves? Like
There
that's
it
exactly
is.
how great, and sting like a bee. Like the tiniest bee could knock out the biggest dude. Like it's amazing. I just think like he was really artistic and poetic, and he really understood the human experience. So that's Ali.
So
Um,
before you move on, I have to say something because you and I have now opened up a connection I want to reveal.
cool.
We met in Portland at
Yeah.
Dante and Rebecca's Portland Comedy Festival 2019.
Yeah.
My dad, Holocaust survivor in Portland, Oregon, was like the Don King of Portland. He was a
No way.
boxing promoter. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So there you go. Now we
I've
get to
met a
go back.
lot. I've met a lot of boxing promoters, so I feel like I know your dad a little bit now.
He was like the white Jewish Don King, bad hair. He made Don King's hair look like Don King just came out of the beauty salon.
That's funny.
Back to you.
Wow, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I love boxing. I love
Yeah,
it.
me too. It's a great time right now. There's so many amazing. I mean, we've got some amazing heavyweights right now, like here and abroad, and then we've got like some really amazing Eastern European fighters that are like breaking the rules with Lomachenko, and then you've got like pound for pound fighters out of Mexico, like just so many great fighters. It's really great right now. It's the best time for boxing.
I love mainstream professional boxing. I have tried to get into kick and UFC and tap out and whatever,
Sure,
but I'm such a purist about
sure.
boxing. It makes it hard for me.
I get it. Yeah. And the UFC guys are starting to get really good. They're starting to take striking really seriously. And, I mean, there's a guy named Henry Cejudo that was just getting lessons from Tyson the other day, who, by the way, looks incredible. He's lost all the weight and he looks like he's pretty much in fighting shape. And he's talking about getting back in the ring, which is, I don't know if it's the smartest thing to do, but he looks really amazing. And it's really inspiring to see the way he looks.
Yes. Good for him for not giving up,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think he's like a living Yoda. The things he's been through and the things he's experienced, you can't learn that from books. You can't learn it from anything. There's the things he's experienced and the type of people he's met and had to deal with and come out on the other side like a calm, happy, joyful, peaceful person is a pretty amazing accomplishment.
I can't imagine how people can go through so much in their life and come out like the people you meet and then you hear their backstories and like I don't know what you've been through, but you come across like everything, you're settled with everything and you're in the moment. And it amazes me how much people go through and are beautiful people, not begrudging anyone.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah. I almost think like you have to go through some stuff to really be able to be that kind of a person on the other side and be appreciative. There's this saying I really like in Chinese culture. It said, it takes 3 generations to lose a fortune. The first generation works to make it. The second generation witnesses it. And the third generation has no idea where that money came from and they feel entitled to it. And that's the generation that loses it. And I think that's the same way with a lot of things. If you don't, with open eyes, make a conscious decision, like I'm going to be appreciative, I think our default is to just go on to the next thing. Okay, I got this. What's next? Especially in a business like comedy. Okay, I won this thing. What's next? Oh, I got this show. What's next? It's like, no, man, you're doing it. Like, I can't tell you the number of comedians that have said to me, I can't wait till I make it. And then I had to make them pause and go, you are making it right now. And they've almost been shocked where they've gone, oh my God, I guess you're right. I am a full-time comedian. I pay my bills with comedy. This is how, like, but it's just, we're such chasers. We're like greyhounds, emotional greyhounds.
Wow.
Like, stop chasing shit. Like, just appreciate the little bunny in your mouth.
And you never see the greyhound catch the rabbit.
It's not supposed to.
Never. Yeah.
That's when we stop running. So it's good. It's good to create, your next goal. I think that's a really healthy drive to be like really motivated and want to keep going. But if you don't stop and go, hey, that was great, and be proud of yourself and give yourself a virtual hug, it's like running a marathon and not drinking water. You're going to cramp up and do weird shit.
It's so true. It's not funny, but I know how funny you are. So I see the funny in what you say.
Oh, thanks.
You could tell me, don't go there. You're going to get your head bit off. And I would laugh and not go there. You make a lot of sense. And yet you make me laugh.
Oh, yeah. Good. I'm glad. That's good.
I love being in the moment. Like this moment right here is all we have. We don't have what was back there and we don't have what's in front of us. We just have this.
Yeah.
Like milking every moment brings me so much happiness.
Totally. It just takes such a long time to learn to appreciate it. That's such a bummer. I feel like, you know, I wish if I would have known now, if I knew then, like in my 20s, what I knew now, you know, in my 40s, I would have been such a happier person. But you know, but now I appreciate how difficult it is to get it. You know.
Yes. Let me transition a little bit, like a lot, to your comedy career, which on paper looks like it happened overnight. It does. It looks,
No.
oh, 2017, 2019, and now.
Yeah,
Take
they
us back to,
started in 2011. So that was so the you know the only credits you're seeing are from after 6 years of getting up every single night and you know writing every single day and never clocking out. Like being a comic is like being a police detective. You don't put the gun away, you know. Like it
yes.
changes you. I like you don't realize it when you're going. It's like turning into the Hulk in slow motion. And one day you wake up and you're like, shit, I'm green. You know, like shit, I'm a comedian now. I'm not a normal person anymore until you start looking at normal people and go, oh, they're being weird. You go, oh, not them, it's you. You've changed. You know?
So, where does your funny come from? Like, I have, there's a certain thing I have to do in order to be on stage to be funny.
Mm,
You know, like I
yeah,
get myself into not a character, just a thing I'm trying to get across.
sure.
Like, I
Yeah.
want everybody to get it that I love them. I don't care if they remember one joke, it'd be nice, but at this point, they're not. What do you do to what inspires you to get up there and what keeps you going?
I mean, I love it. This is my air, you know, as creepy and vulnerable as that sounds, but it is, it's my air. And it's like, you know, a lot of people say, you hear the cliche that comics are dark. I don't think comics are dark. I think we're the ones who like to put light on dark things and examine those dark things. I think the average person is dark. It's like saying, oh, I think firefighters love fire because they keep putting it out. No, they don't. They don't like fire. And we fight darkness as comedians. And I think that's why I do it. Because I think when things are dark or uncomfortable, when I was a child, then I would make jokes to lighten the mood. I didn't like the heaviness. And I think that's the way I still am as an
Me
adult.
too.
I don't like heaviness. I don't like, you know, what's been happening in the world right now. And I have, by making fun of it, it's like saying I'm still free. I'm
I
still
get
free. I'm still in control. I'm still 51% of this is still my choice. That's why I have a choice to have a smile on my face, even while I could be fighting you and still have a smile on my face, you know? So I don't,
God.
yeah.
So it's like your strength. It's almost like a superpower.
Yeah, I think it can be. I mean, for me, it's a life raft, you know, more than superpower.
Mhm.
But it, you know, it's what keeps me sane. It's therapy and friendship all in one, you know. So like I feel so grateful to be able to do this for a living, and I don't really do it for the audience. You know, I love the audience, and I actually hold them in pretty high regard compared to most people, from what I understand. But like I don't perform for them anymore. I perform for 8 year old me. You know, the kid who had to experience some dark things. I perform for him. And if I'm making that the kid inside me laugh, then they're laughing too. They never don't come along as long as you're being genuine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, like I've only been in this 6 years with a little bit of a brain injury, right?
Mm.
And I'm a geriatric to boot. And I remember going through a class in New Jersey, and when I got done, a headliner said, "Have you ever thought about what it is to be authentic?" And I
Mm.
thought, that's a nice question. Whatever, you know. Went home and looked it up, and then cried for 2 weeks because I realized all my jokes were like just things that were funny that I chose to say because they were funny, but they weren't authentic to me.
Sure, but that takes time. That's like that's black belt stuff. I mean, even Richard Pryor, when he started, he was just doing Bill Cosby's act. He said it himself. He just said, "Well, Bill Cosby is the way that you become famous in America as a black man, so I'll just do Bill Cosby." And then he
Wow.
finally figured it out and became something very different and very much better than a Bill Cosby.
I
You know?
had not known that.
Yeah,
I was
there's a lot of
like,
people that start that way.
Yeah,
If
I
you're a
know young people
musician,
do it. What's that?
if you're a musician, you play other people's music before you start writing original stuff sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying out jokes just because they're funny, trying on personas. As long as you're not, trying to sell it off as your own, then, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it could be even a great way to learn, the way people tell a story and match words with their physicality and their facial expressions and tone and timing and how you add different emotions, how that's going to impact the punchline if you're acting like it's really affecting you at the moment versus saying this used to make me sad versus actually being sad on stage. It's those kinds of things you learn from mimicking and watching people and making mistakes.
Yes. So, of the people who are here and alive today, who do you look up to in the comedy community that you have not yet met and would love to or work with?
um,
Kind of a
I mean, I'm
three-part.
really lucky. I feel like I've met a lot of people and I know a lot of people. What I think has been a trip for me is I think comedy is an international language that is treated like a national language by the business. And every time I've gone abroad, I've been so blown away by the talent. Whether it's the amazing comedians in South Africa that we didn't take notice of until we got a Trevor Noah, or the amazing comedians in the UK until we had a Ricky Gervais over here. Like I just think the world is bigger than we treat it sometimes in America. Like I think even if you just learn Spanish, all of a sudden Netflix almost doubles in size. The number of TV shows you can watch, the number of films you can watch, it's so much more interesting. And it's not just a language. I mean, there are life moments that are better described in other languages. Like for example, in French, the exquisite pain. The exquisite pain is what it means to be friend zoned.
Oh my
In America,
goodness.
we call it the friend zone when a girl doesn't want to have a romantic relationship with you. But in France, it's called the exquisite pain. And I'm like,
Gee.
oh, that's so gorgeous. It's just it's such a different way to think. Whether you like it or not, for you to have that in your brain and go, oh, there's a different way to think about this thing that I'm writing about. And so I love watching comics from other parts of the world more so than maybe the famous people in America who I love. And I still do think we got the best comics in the world. But boy, do I love being introduced to comics from other countries that have blown me away and taught me new ways to think.
So you've been around the world. You've entertained the troops. You've
Mhm.
won multiple awards. You've been in the Edinburgh Fringe Fest. You won the Portland Comedy Fest. You've gotten awards from the press, like 4-star reviews. Was it? Was
Yeah,
that?
you're being
Was it?
so nice. Yeah, yeah. In Edinburgh Fringe, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, in Edinburgh, it was great.
Yeah. Do you know
Yeah.
how many stars I would get? I would. They'd
Oh,
punch my lights out, and I would see
I've been doing
stars.
it. I've been doing it a lot longer. I think comedy's brutal. It just takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time, and you find your voice. And I mean, it sounds to me like you're headed in the right direction. I mean, you've already passed one of the biggest hurdle lessons, about being authentic, and that's not easy. It's almost like you have to. Like, comedy is as much about unlearning as it is about learning. Like learning how to
Exactly.
tell a comedy is half of it is learning about unlearning about all the rules that society puts on us. So,
Now you started your comedy. Back to you. Thank you for that. No segue again. I'm a
all
boomer.
right.
Well, you started in New York with my personal hero, Gladys Simon. So you
Oh
know
yeah,
her.
I performed with Gladys. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, when you start in New York, it's a rough, tumble city. It
Well,
can
I
chew
actually
you up.
started in LA. I started in LA, but I was going to New York quite a bit, and I'm in New York now. I've been in New York now for a little while, so I've always been to both places. And my third home is London. Not physical place. My third comedy home is London. Like those three cities are the most important to me. It's not probably not the smartest thing to do from a business perspective to bounce around from LA, New York, and London. But from an artistic perspective, I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. I think it's given me a real finger on the comedy pulse of the world.
I get the New York versus LA because you've got TV, you've got credits with acting,
Hmm.
and then you in New York writing, and well, writing for TV or late night, or I can see the benefit of New York, LA.
Sure.
So tell me about the United Kingdom being important to you.
Well, each city has its own prejudice. And the person who mentored me in comedy said, "You're an American from LA, so the other two places you should live for your foundation is New York and London, and then
Hmm.
come back to LA." And he said, and then that's like going through grades 1 through 4 in comedy. And I'm like, well, how do you mean? He goes, when you get to New York, they're going to say he's from LA, so he's weak, and they're going to force you to be strong and stronger on stage and more confident in your opinions. You can't be flighty because that's the stereotype they're going to have of you. So you have
Yes.
to perform on your toes in New York, or the audiences will eat you up. And they were right. And so New York made me a stronger comedian and a more opinionated comedian. And then I got to England, and he's like, in England, they're going to say he's American, so he's stupid. And and that was my opener when I got on stage in England. I'd be like, so as you guys can tell by my accent, I'm stupid. And then I took it away from them. I took away everything the majority of lazy hecklers were going to say. I called myself stupid. Now you got nothing to say. And then I went into my set and I very much wasn't. I mean, when you start your set by saying I'm stupid, you better be smart. And so New York made my comedy more confident. England made my comedy more intelligent. And then I think when I came back to LA, they're like, you haven't been in LA for a long time. Is your stuff polished? Is it even TV ready like our stuff is in LA? And I think those three cities have that kind of an influence on their comics. I think because of the presence of the television industry, LA forces you to have a really polished 5 minute set that's all about late night TV. New York forces you to be flexible and on your feet in case you're in this really tight space with somebody who chooses to get in your face. Now you got to manage them with words. And England, they make you be a smarter comic.
That's great. So when now that you're bouncing around and able to juggle those three cities, do
Mm.
you find that the clubs or the club owners, bookers respect you more because you have chipped off all of that?
You want to hear something funny? I
Yeah.
don't mean this to sound like I'm being a macho dude. I don't care. I
Oh,
don't
that's
care.
so cool.
And it's not because I'm not a nice person or a polite person, or I don't have diplomacy. That's not what I mean. It's because I think it's bad for my comedy if I cared too much
I
about
get
what
it.
they thought. And it's not because I think they're bad people. It's not because I think that they don't know plenty about comedy, but they don't feel comedy. We feel
Right.
it. When you're on stage performing it, you are the front line. And that's the only compass I want. I'm the CEO and the janitor of my company and of my comedy business. And so, yeah, I don't, if a manager of a club wants to have an opinion about the path of my career, I don't want to hear it.
That's
Unless I
cool.
ask them. I might ask them if they want to say something to me about their audience, about their city, about, or just want to have have a conversation, be a friend. 100%. I am absolutely there. But outside of that, my comedy's like my genitals. They're not for other people to touch unless I'm in an intimate relationship with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even one drink isn't going to do it.
You can't just touch my pee-pee. I don't care if you own the club. You can't just touch my comedy nuts. You can't do it.
Wow. So you know a lot of lessons and you've learned them and you have strong opinions, and it comes across when you're on stage that you have strong opinions.
Mm,
And so in the time that you've been doing comedy, have you seen a heckler eat up another comic, or have you learned
sure.
something really important when you've been heckled or from another someone heckling? Like when I hear a heckler, I'm like, there's a reason they're heckling. Maybe it's because they're crazy and they need someone to come get them in a white jacket, but maybe there's something the comic could have done better
Sure.
to avoid it. Have you
Yeah.
had those moments?
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I want
absolutely.
to hear
Yeah,
about that from you.
absolutely. Like I mean, I've seen, I think it depends. I don't think there is one solution. I think you have to be aware of what you are on stage. right? Like I have a friend who's a petite guy. He's a very smaller sized guy. He's maybe 5'5" at best, maybe weighs 130. I'm 5'11" and I weigh almost 190. So, and I'm sleeved in tattoos. He can say things to people and still be funny. It's like when a chihuahua growls at you, it's funny. But when a big dog growls at you, it's not funny. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And I think comedy, Freud said this, the psychologist said, comedy is the weapon of the underdog. So for me, I have to always be careful that even in my response, that my response is always just. It's never
Okay.
over. LAPD, I hope you're listening to this, right?
Yes.
That you don't abuse your power. You don't abuse your position, or the audience will fight back, which is again what's happening in our society right now. You're
Absolutely.
thankful. You should be a respectful with your power, grateful for the power that you have on that stage, and also have the confidence to know that if somebody's heckling you, 99% of the room is on your side. So just stay calm. Just
I
stay calm.
love that. I love
We're
that.
all on your side, and you don't even have to say anything. I mean, Greg Wilson is a great comic, very funny guy, and he's got this thing that I just love. You don't even have to say anything. A lot of people are afraid that a lot of comics are afraid that they're going to lose a battle of the wits with a heckler in the audience. First of all, shame on you if you do, because that person's usually drunk. But second of all, the audience is on your side. And Greg was talking about this time where this guy was yelling stuff out, and Greg would just hold the mic up to his mouth and go blah 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 blah. That he would just every time the guy tried to speak, Greg would go blah 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 into the microphone. It was hilarious, and until the guy got so frustrated that he kicked himself out of the club and he walked out of the club. So it's like that's our stage, that's our home. It's for us to defend. But just for you have to know what you look like and what you represent on that stage, so you know how aggressive you can be, how aggressive you shouldn't be. The way that I look, I choose to always go a more playful approach.
Like, give me an example of a playful retort you would have.
Don't come to comedy shows with your own jokes. It's like going to a whorehouse and masturbating in the corner. Like that's one I used before. But for the majority of the time, I just go, hey, let's talk. Hey, let's talk about it. Looks like you're having a bad day. You okay? You all right? Was this on your to-do list to come to a comedy show and ruin everybody's night? What's going on? Is that your real wife? You know what I mean? Like just have fun and be playful. Like there's nothing that aggravates a person like that more than a big ass smile on the face of the person they're trying to break down. And
Wow.
I just smile and have fun with it. That's our house. They can't get in our house.
I love that. I love that a lot. So the pandemic hit, and now we're sitting here wondering when we're going to be safe and when we're going to get out. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of civil unrest. And to a large degree, I feel like there should have been civil unrest
A long time ago.
Long
Yep.
time ago. And I hope it never stops until we clear this up.
I agree.
I'm done with it. I'm so fed up.
People are stressed out. They're really stressed out. And I'm a little tired of politicians thinking that part of their job is to play tough guy. That's not your job. It's not your job. There's something about American men that really pisses me off. It's like Madonna looks amazing. The woman still has a six-pack. And when she went out on the Super Bowl, they're like, ooh, she's 40. Why is she trying to be sexy? J-Lo, same thing. People are like, oh, she's 50. She looks amazing. Shut up. Right? But exactly. Sylvester Stallone can make a Rambo 8? Are you kidding me? So we can have a 70-year-old action hero, but we can't have a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old who looks amazing, still be proud of herself being sexy? What kind of cock blockers are you? What's wrong with women feeling sexy? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of those guys. I'm tired of them stressing us out. I'm tired of them using politics like a giant Instagram platform, trying to make fans and make people go against each other. I'm disgusted by it. And I've never been afraid in the past. Racism is something that I've faced since I came out of the womb. Prejudice, same thing. Institutionalized favoritism, all that stuff. I'm used to that. But a choice to be stupid, that's scary to me.
It is
a choice to say, I don't want to hear from this consistent, successful, super talented physician who's won numerous awards. I don't want to hear from him. I want to hear from a failed businessman who knows nothing about the medical industry to just brainstorm about random pills that have literally killed people. Like that's not America. That's some third world shit. That's something you see out of a weird country with wagon wheeled cars. You know what I mean?
I feel like we're living in the Twilight Zone.
I do too, but I'll tell you what, I think at least when we get to heaven, if there is a heaven, we'll be able to talk about some pretty interesting things at the bar. We're living in interesting times, if anything else. And I have faith. Listen, this happened before, and look how people responded before. After, people talk about the pandemic of 1918 or the outbreak of 1918. All right, well, tell me, what were the 20s like? They were the roaring 20s, the roaring 20s. We came out of hibernation with a roar. People celebrated, they partied, there was amazing entertainment, there was amazing fashion. We found a joy of life again. And I think that's going to happen now. I think there's some silver lining to the pandemic, and I think we'll repeat what happened in the 20s, and hopefully not follow it with another depression.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I hope we pull. I am so sick and tired of, and I'm just going to say it, I'm so sick and tired of white racist people. And it's not the KKK. It's sneaky little people that anybody that thinks they're any better for any reason than any other person has the
Totally.
potential.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, I know plenty of brown people that, are pretty racist too, towards other brown people, by the way. I'm not talking about whatever reverse racism means. Racism is racism. I think there's good and bad people in every race, ethnicity, creed, whatever. But it's the selfishness that gets me. That you can say, I don't care if that person loses their rights. It doesn't affect me. And it's like, it does affect you. It's a chain. And when somebody loses their rights, your rights are next. Your rights are
Right.
next. Those, giving people power is like pouring water over gremlins. They turn into monsters. They are drunk on power, and that's why they do these crazy things. And you've seen it with politicians, you've seen it with comedians who've gone from having a beautiful life to doing disgusting things. And it's like, I think we need to start treating power like a chemical. Like, there are people who are drunk on it, and if you can't have more than 2 beers and drive a car, you shouldn't make more than 2 million and lead a country. You're too disconnected from people. You know what I mean?
I
I
get
think
it.
we need to take a real tough look at power and its effect on people. I mean, how many more examples do we need of it ruining lives before we figure it out?
I don't know, like, I don't mean to be a pessimist, but we're so close to annihilating our own existence. It's not even funny,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
annihilating each other for what?
yeah.
You
It's
know,
really stupid. I'm disgusted by it, and it's hard. There is good stuff that comes out of it, though. I mean, I've never worked so hard to smile, but I like when I smile now, I really mean it, you know.
yes, yes.
So it's I'm not going to let it. I've been a pretty active and vocal person, about the issues that are at the table right now.
Yep.
I put up comedy clips that are 6 years old that I've been talking about this stuff, whether it was police brutality or racism or whatever. And I've had a lot of comics who called me preachy and did all this shit, and I said, you were laughing, f you. You know what I mean? As long as you
Exactly.
were laughing, and everybody's comedy is their own. You do whatever you want with it, and if there are moments where you don't like what I say, then that's okay. Change the channel in real life too.
I
You can
grew
Marie
up.
Kondo people too.
What's that?
You can Marie Kondo people,
Yes,
not just
yes.
things.
So when you say you can Marie Kondo them, it means
Oh,
that you
she's a
can.
she's a that lady that said, if it doesn't spark joy, throw it out of your house.
Oh,
And
got it.
she was a super organizer, and her main philosophy or premise behind her philosophy was, if it doesn't bring you happiness, why is it in your drawers? Why is it in your closets? If you're not using it, get rid of it. And I think that applies to people too. I think if there's people in your lives that constantly upset you, relative or not, hey, you can give them less attention. You know,
Yes.
enjoy your life. Be happy. We don't have much time here.
Yes. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, where we met. And one of the things that I loved to do when I went up on stage in Portland is to start my set off with, I grew up in a very racist town. I don't know if you've heard of it, Portland, Oregon.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I just felt really naughty saying it, and I
Sure.
just loved doing it because
Well,
the
it's a big
history
statement.
there.
Yeah, it's a big statement too. I think, people like to think of Portland as really progressive, and it is, but racism is everywhere. So I think it's a really smart, it's a smart joke. If people don't take offense and they take the time to think about it and go, yeah, of course, there's no place. And racism is not something that just stops.
No.
It's something that you keep working on. Nobody says, oh, I went to the gym, but I'm in great shape now, so I stopped.
It's
You
so
know?
true.
And I think that's what racism is like. Racism isn't something that ever ends.
We
It's not something
start working on it and then we go,
yeah.
well, we fixed it. No, you got to be vigilant.
Yeah, it's just about everybody having a fair chance. That's it.
You know,
That's it. It's
like if
whether
you're
it's
that child that likes to be the favorite child, and we all have somebody in our family that's the favorite, and they like it, you need to stop that. That's not cute. And if you grow up and you
yeah,
like getting more benefits than other people in society, you're just a grown up little baby.
I totally agree. It's
I
not
don't
only
want
not
I don't
cute.
want more than other people. I want other people to get what I don't like. I don't want to get treated good at 7-Eleven while somebody who's a different color is ignored. It makes me sad.
Sure, sure. And it's color, it's gender, it's a lot of things. And it's not just being a baby. The planet can't sustain that kind of a personality. Selfishness is killing our planet. It's like your human pollution, you know? Like us being
Exactly.
cooperative with each other and sharing a planet together is the way the planet keeps growing, and it's the way that we make sure that our kids have a future, that their kids have a future, and that the human race continues to exist. Selfishness, racism is just selfishness. It's just a form of selfishness. That's all that it is.
So true.
It's not just us who hates it, it's the planet. We're not built that way.
Unfortunately, white privilege, white people, I'm really Semitic being,
Mm.
Jewish, but white people think I'm white. White people are so privileged that, like, I was born in 51. I didn't know I even had white privilege until
Mm.
1973.
Well, sure. Yeah, of course.
But I
Yeah,
was out cashing checks on it.
I mean, if everybody around you also has privilege, is it really a privilege? You know what I mean? It's not.
Thank
A lot
you.
of people don't notice it until they go to college. I think that's why you see so many young people start taking interest in activism when they get to college, because it's the first time they break out of their socioeconomic bubble, and then they're going, "Oh wow!" And then they make friends. If they were raised properly, they make friends who are different than they are, and then they realize, "Oh wow, the world is a place that we share." And and maybe we can make it better in the future. I think that's part of your job as a young person. It's part of the job you don't get paid for. Is it's your
Aren't you
job to want to make the world a better place.
aren't you so proud of our young people?
Absolutely, 100%,
Oh my
100%.
gosh.
They're
And I
amazing.
don't want to hear any more millennial jokes. I never
Yeah,
seen
I've
so
never
many.
I've never said them, and I always made fun of people who did. I don't think I think the entitled. Give me a break. Like they're a huge generation. They're called the Echo Boomers. The only generation that are as big as the Boomers. And the Boomers kept poking them with a stick and poking them with a stick and poking them with a stick. It's like, oh, you feel entitled? Yeah, I feel entitled. I come to this company straight out of college and I'm teaching you how to use a computer. I'm teaching you how to use software. I'm teaching you how to use technology. And you're telling me that I still get paid like a junior person. Yeah, I'm entitled. Not
Wow.
because I'm a millennial, but because there's been a reverse accumulation of knowledge, and young people have been teaching old people how to do shit in a way that they never have before. And they've been competing because their generation is so big. They've been competing since elementary school, since kindergarten. They've been competing and having to turn in resumes. And they didn't build extra schools just because the generation got bigger. They've been competing for a long time. They are the opposite of entitled. They've been working a long time, and they're thirsty and they're ready to drink. Yeah. So
I,
if it happens to be your blood, if you're going to get in the way, they're going to be drinking your blood. The
they're not backing down. And I'm
good for
so
them. They
proud.
shouldn't. They
They,
shouldn't back down. They
I
shouldn't.
can't believe it makes us baby boomers, and I'm speaking for baby, it makes us look ridiculously lazy that we allowed whatever's going on to continue. And it takes the young people to step up to the plate. What,
Sure. Well, yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
they have access to things and information that maybe the generations before didn't.
Yeah.
I think I believe in collective goodness. I think when a certain number of people see something, I mean, I think this cop stepping on this guy's neck, on 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 Floyd's neck, is the equivalent of when Martin Luther King got the cops to put those fire hoses on black people. It was a moment where white America said, oh my God, look what we're doing to other human beings. It's wrong. Whether it was George Floyd or whether it was those people, it's just shocking to me that we still need to see images like that.
It's about time we see people of color as human beings, not by their color.
Yeah.
If it could happen to them, it could happen to us, and at times it does. But
Sure, it happens. Everyone has felt it in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Everyone can understand it in some way, shape, or form, to feel outcast or that you're less than. But I think a lot of my white friends haven't had. I've told white friends experiences in a pretty casual tone, and then I saw their faces and realized, oh, that's shocking to them. That a cop hit me in the head with a stick and said, "You don't live in Beverly Hills. You're from Hollywood. I don't get paid to watch Hollywood assholes. I get paid to watch Beverly Hills assholes." And he hit me with a stick. And because my dad was an immigrant, I came home with a blood. And my dad was, because he was an immigrant, he was like, "Oh, I don't want trouble with the government." So he said, "Well, what did you do to make the cop hit you?" And that was like, I mean, me and my dad and I think that was like the beginning of a very big fracture in our relationship.
absolutely.
Yeah, but it was like, I mean, racism is a real problem. And I think a lot of brown people have been staying quiet for a long time because we've even made ourselves feel like second class citizens. We do it to ourselves, like that we don't deserve to be here, or that, because all of our heroes are white. And if we're not careful, if we don't pay attention to that, it can turn into self-hate. There's nothing wrong with having a white hero as long as you realize a brown one can be a hero too. And that's the problem, is when it turns to self-hate. It's what I said about Ali. When I had a white friend say, "Oh, I loved Ali, I just didn't like all the bragging." And I said, he wasn't talking to you. He was talking to brown kids. And he's saying, "I know you don't see any brown heroes on TV. Let me show you that if I can do it, you can do it." That's what he was saying. It wasn't bragging. It was public service.
And he empowered so many people to reach for the stars. There was
100%.
like, who was there before Muhammad Ali? I remember when he came on the scene, and like, if I could go back in time and be in the mind of a young child who happens to be of black color, being able to identify with someone getting somewhere in this world, that
Sure.
must have been such an amazing time for people of color growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was shocking for people to see, because there was always phenomenal black fighters and black athletes, Sugar Ray Robinson and so many people, but no one ever had the guts and the daring to sacrifice so much for their integrity.
And he exemplified having self-love.
Yeah, 100%.
Confidence
100%.
in
Yeah.
himself and his abilities. That
Absolutely.
was, yeah.
Absolutely. I
You're
remember
so
a moment when he was on TV hugging a little black girl, and he said, "Bring her over here." He's like, "Get over here, beautiful. Get over here, beautiful." He's like, "Look at this queen." And he held her in his arm. And I remember going, it was beautiful. And the way she looked at him when he called her queen, he knew exactly what he was doing. That guy was as much of a healer as any doctor.
I've had chills most of this conversation, and it's not the virus, it's you, your big heart.
You're sweet. Oh, thank you, Linda.
It's
That's
true.
really nice. That's really
so
nice.
I look forward to seeing you in the flesh again sometime soon.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm going to be back at Harvey soon.
Great. And
Yeah.
I hope that the new festival happens this year there.
I hope so too.
2020.
Is the club open yet?
Not yet. As of a couple of days ago, Doug says it's not open yet.
Okay, cool.
City and all that stuff.
Right on.
mayor, governor, whatever. You
Yeah.
know, people
Hopefully
above.
soon. Yeah, I think we're on a good track. We're starting. It seems like the places that locked down are on a good track.
Yes, yes,
I guess Florida's paying for some of their mistakes now. But
yes,
not to laugh, but
yeah.
but yeah, hopefully it feels like we're on a good track. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I definitely feel lighter here in New York. I think things are really lightening up, so it's good. Fingers crossed we'll keep going in the right direction.
Awesome. Are you going to be seeing Gladys on this time in New York?
No, the clubs aren't open yet, but I haven't seen her in a while. It's she's uptown, and I've been mostly in the village, but hopefully I'll see her soon.
Yeah, she's up in the 60s, I think is where she lives.
Yeah, isn't she? Well, I mean, her club, right? She's at Catch
Yeah,
Rising
that's in the
Star.
80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She has a Wednesday show.
Comic strip.
She has a Wednesday show on Zoom. You should pop in and surprise the F out of her.
Yeah, sure, if she remembers me. But yeah,
She'll
definitely.
remember you. Oh my
Oh,
God.
that's nice. Cool.
Anyway, I can't wait. I'll share everything I see you posting because
Oh,
I
you're
love it.
so
I
sweet, Linda.
adore
Thanks so
you.
much. I adore you too. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
having me. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for coming on, Tamer. You didn't
Sure.
have to.
No,
Thank you.
I loved it. It was a great conversation.
It was. I feel like your buddy now. Let's go
You
to a
are.
boxing match.
Yeah, we'll
Vegas
do
has
it.
them.
That's a deal. We'll make that happen
Okay.
one day soon.
Okay. Okay,
All right.
cool.
See you later.
Bye. Love
Bye.
you.
Love you
Bye.
too. Bye.